Hello, my name is Obaid Alorni.
Common pheasant.
The common pheasant, Phaeacus colchicus, is a bird in the pheasant family, Phaeacinidae. It is native to Georgia, ancient Colchis, and has been widely introduced elsewhere as a game bird in parts of its range, namely in places where none of its relatives occur, such as in Europe, where it is naturalized. It is simply known as the pheasant. Ring-necked pheasant is both the name used for the species as a whole in North America and also the collective name for a number of subspecies and their intergrades which have white neck rings. The word pheasant is derived from the ancient town of Phasis, the predecessor of modern Bote in western Georgia. See below for details. It is a well-known game bird, among those of more than regional importance, perhaps the most widespread and ancient one in the whole world. The common pheasant is one of the world's most hunted birds. It has been introduced for that purpose to many regions, and is also common on game farms where it is commercially bred. Ring-necked pheasants in particular are commonly bred and were introduced to many parts of the world. The game farm stock, though no distinct breeds have been developed yet, can be considered semi-domesticated. The ring-necked pheasant is the state bird of South Dakota, one of only 3 U.S. state birds that is not a species native to the United States. The green pheasant, P. versicolor, of Japan is sometimes placed as subspecies within the common pheasant, though the species produce fertile hybrids wherever they coexist. This is simply a typical feature among fowl, Gallone says, in which postzygotic isolating mechanisms are slight compared to most other birds. The species apparently have somewhat different ecological requirements, and at least in its typical habitat the green outcompetes the common pheasant. Its introduction to Japan has therefore largely failed. The green pheasant, P. versicolor, of Japan is sometimes placed as subspecies within the common pheasant, though the species produce fertile hybrids wherever they coexist. This is simply a typical feature among fowl, Gallone says, in which postzygotic isolating mechanisms are slight compared to most other birds. The species apparently have somewhat different ecological requirements, and at least in its typical habitat the green outcompetes the common pheasant. Its introduction to Japan has therefore largely failed. The adult male common pheasant of the nominate subspecies Phaeacus colchicus is 60 to 89 centimeters, 24 to 35 in length, with a long brown streaked black tail, accounting for almost 50 centimeters, 20 in, of the total length. The body plumage is barred bright golden brown plumage with green, purple and white markings. The head is bottle green with a small crest and distinctive red wattle. Colchicus and some other races lack a white neck ring. The female, hen, is much less showy, with a duller mottled brown plumage all over and measuring 50 to 63 centimeters, 20 to 25 in, long, including a tail of around 20 centimeters, 8 in. Juvenile birds have the appearance of the female with a shorter tail until young males begin to grow characteristic bright feathers on the breast, head and back at about 10 weeks after hatching. The green pheasant, P. versicolor, is very similar, and hybridized and makes individual birds' identities often difficult to determine. Green pheasant males are shorter-tailed on average and have a darker plumage that is uniformly bottle green on the breast and belly. They always lack a neck ring. Their females are darker, with many black dots on the breast and belly. In addition, various color mutations are commonly encountered, mainly melanistic, black, and flavistic, isabine or fawn specimens. The former are rather common in some areas and are named tenebrosus pheasant, B. colchicus var.
Taxonomy and systematics. This species was first scientifically described by Linnaeus in his Systema Naturae in 1758 under its current scientific name. The common pheasant is distinct enough from any other species known to Linnaeus for laconic, Phaeacus, rufus, capite caeruleo, a red pheasant with blue head, to serve as entirely sufficient description. Moreover, the bird had been extensively discussed before Linnaeus established binomial nomenclature. His sources are the Ornithologia of Alessandro Venti, Giovanni Pietrelli Zuccellura, John Ray's Synopsis Methodica Avium and Piscium, and A Natural History of the Birds by Liz R. Albin. They're in, essentially the bulk of the ornithology textbooks of his day. The species is simply named the pheasant in the book's respective languages, whereas another species, such as the eastern meadowlark, Sternella magna, Linnaeus felt it warranted to cite plumage details from his sources. In the common pheasant's case he simply referred to the reason of the bird's fame, principum mensis dictator verification needed. The type locality is given simply as Africa, Asia. However, the bird does not occur in Africa, except perhaps in Linnaeus' time in Mediterranean coastal areas where they might have been introduced during the Roman Empire. The type locality was later fixed to the Rioni River, known as Phasis to the ancient Greeks, where the westernmost population occurs. These birds, until the modern era, constituted the bulk of the introduced stock in Europe. The birds described by Linnaeus sources, though typically belonging to such early introductions, would certainly have more alleles in common with the Transcaucasian population than with others. The scientific name is Latin for pheasant from colchis, colchicus, referring to the west of modern-day Georgia. The ancient Greek term corresponding to the English pheasant is Phasianos ornis, bird of the river Phasis, although Linnaeus included many galliforms in his genus Phasianius, such as the domestic chicken and its wild ancestor the red jungle fowl, nowadays Gallus gallistache. Today only the common and the green pheasant are placed in this genus, as the latter was not known to Linnaeus in 1758. The common pheasant is naturally the type species of Phasianus. In the USA, common pheasants are widely known as ring-necked pheasants. More colloquial North American names include chinks or, in Montana, pheasants in China. Meanwhile, the species is properly called Saiji, pheasant fowl dash, essentially implying the same as the English name common pheasant. Like elsewhere, P. colchicus is such a familiar bird in China that it is usually just referred to as shanji, mountain chicken, a Chinese term for pheasants in general. As of 2005, it had the smallest non-genome of all living amniotes, only 0.97 pg, 970 million base pairs. However, black-chinned hummingbird is now currently known to have the smallest. Subspecies Caucasus pheasant type male, Mongolian ringneck type male, Chinese ringneck type male, note gray rump, with very pale female. There are about 30 subspecies in 5, sometimes 6, groups. These can be identified according to the male plumage, namely presence or absence of a white neck ring and the color of the upper tilt, rump, and wing covers as noted above. Introduced population in our time mixed the alleles of various races in various amounts, differing according to the original stock used for introductions and what natural selection according to climate and habitat has made of that. Sometimes this species is split into the Central Asian common and the East Asian ring-necked pheasants, roughly separated by the arid and high mountainous regions of Turkestan. However, while the western and eastern populations probably were entirely separate during the Zyryanka glaciation when deserts were more extensive, this separation was not long enough for actual speciation to occur. Today, the largest variety of color patterns is found where the western and eastern populations mix. As is to be expected, females usually cannot be identified even to subspecies group with certainty. The subspecies groups, going from west to east, are Phasianus colchicus group, Caucasus pheasants, Caucasus 2W Turkestan, no neck ring, wing covers buff to brown, upper tail covers rusty to chestnut. Phasianus colchicus chrysomeles, Principalis group, white-winged pheasants including Prince of Wales pheasant, PC principalis, Central Turkestan, no or vestigial neck ring, wing covers white, upper tail covers and general plumage hue bronze to brown. Phasianus colchicus mongolicus group, Mongolian ring-necked pheasants or white-winged ring-necked pheasants, need Turkestan and adjacent Mongolia, broad neck ring, wing covers white, upper tail covers hue rusty to chestnut, general plumage hue copper. Phasianus colchicus terramensis group, Tarim pheasants, say Turkestan, around the Tarim basin, no or vestigial neck ring, wing covers buff to brown, upper tail covers dark khaki to light olive. Phasianus colchicus torquatus group, Chinese ring-necked pheasants including Taiwan pheasant, PC formosemestrial China but widespread in the east, extending to northernmost Vietnam and Taiwan in the south and to the Strait of Tartary region in the north. Most pheasants in North America are of this group, usually broad neck ringwing covers down to light gray, almost white in some, upper tail covers gray to powder blue with orange tips, top of head light gray.
Ecology. Common pheasants are native to Asia, their original range extending from between the Black and Caspian Seas to Manchuria, Siberia, Korea, mainland China and Taiwan. The birds are found in woodland, farmland, scrub and wetlands. In its natural habitat, the common pheasant lives in grassland near water with small copses of trees. Extensively cleared farmland is marginal habitat that cannot maintain self-sustaining populations for long. Common pheasants are gregarious birds and outside the breeding season form a loose flocks wherever they are hunted. They are always timid once they associate humans with danger, and will quickly retreat for safety after hearing the arrival of hunting parties in the area. Chicks about 1 hour after hatching. While common pheasants are able short-distance flyers, they prefer to run if startled. However, they can suddenly burst upwards at great speed, with a distinctive whirring wing sound and often giving cock calls to alert conspecifics. Their flight speed is only 43-61 km per hour, 27 to 38 miles per hour, when cruising, but when chased they can fly up to 90 km per hour, 60 miles per hour. Common pheasants feed solely on the ground but roost in sheltered trees at night. They eat a wide variety of animal and vegetable type food, like fruit, seeds and leaves, as well as a wide range of invertebrates, with small vertebrates like snakes, lizards, small mammals and birds occasionally taken. The males are polygynous, as is typical for many Phasianidae, and are often accompanied by a harem of several females. Common pheasants nest on the ground, producing a clutch of around 10 eggs over a 2 to 3 week period in April to June. The incubation period is about 23 to 26 days. The chicks stay near the hen for several weeks after hatching but grow quickly, resembling adults by only 15 weeks of age.